This week. Okay, start.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Once again, we are live here to speak about the Parasha. And today we will speak about the Parasha Chukat, which means decrease. Chok is a decree, the Chukat. And we will speak about, although the Parasha is very rich, but we're going to speak about only 2 points. We collect the red heifer. The red heifer and the bronze serpent. And when you have the 10, you have the water of Meribah. We have the passage through Edom is refused. We have the death of Aaron and the king Zichon, who is defeated. But we will focus on 2 points today. The red heifer and the bronze serpent. It's very interesting to understand. It's very interesting to understand how we can approach this parasha. And for easy purpose, I will quote from Judaism. To understand, we need to understand that there is a difference, first, between Yehudi, a Jew, who walk in the Torah, and we from the Goyim, who have turned to the Torah with our encounter with Yeshua Mashiach. So we need to understand, and you will see that the word is very powerful. We have to accept that we are not coming from the same place, and that there is indeed a difference. I say difference, this does not make people better, but there is a difference. And we have to know, and I will try to explain that and to show you how it is. Now, I will, before we start to speak about the red heifer, I'm going to read for you some points which are absolutely important and necessary to understand. So, you see, he said here, it is written in Yoma 67b from Rashi, because the Satan and the people of the world mock Israel by saying, what is this commandment? What is the reason for it? This is why the Torah writes about him, decrease, the chok, a law which is incomprehensible to our human intelligence. Commentary from Rashi. It's a decision decided before me. You do not have permission to reflect on it. Again, Yoma 67b from Rashi. No. These are laws, according to Rashi, which are not comprehensible for human intelligence. Why is it so? Is it really so? Yes and no. Yes, until we come to Mashiach. Because many chok decree are embedded in the life of Yeshua. And we will see as it is. Now we keep going to explain and to see how he was approached by Shaul. And I read, this parasha describes the command of Para Aduma, the red heifer. Such an animal was taken without defect, and having never carried a yoke, slaughter it and then burn it, as was outside the camp, remember. Its ashes mixed with water had the ability to purify any kind of impurity. Now I say let's explain the passage according to a Kabbalistic approach. As a Kabbalistic is not satanic like many think, because they have never take the time to learn about Kabbalistic. Kabbalistic is revelation. It is a higher level of interpretation which is embedded in the Torah, in the word of the sage. In one of his letters, Shaul teaches this. This is from the letter of Galatians 2:15. We are Yehudim, as a Jew by birth, and not sinners of the Goim, the Gentiles. So what does this mean? We are not sinners because we are Jew by birth. You see, remember in another letter to the Romans, he say, what are the Jews more than the others? Much more because they have received the oracle of Elohim. Now, he say here, he asks the question, what does this sentence mean? Are we all sinners by nature? Because Charles once again said that there is no righteous, everyone has sinned. Yes, in truth, nevertheless, Charles speaks here on another level. He speaks of the source of soul. Okay, the soul, no more the animal man, the natural man. Let's explain in the spiritual field, these are different sources. The source of purity, the source of klipa, noga, the source that is mixed good and evil, and a source composed of three impure klipots. Klipots, plural from klipa. Okay. Klipa is literally a bark. Bark, you know, like the tree is surrounded by the bark. That is something that hinders the divine dimension. Let's take the example of a nut. You know, the fruit is the soul, the shell is the klipa, the sun in this way are Hashem, Elohim. The souls of Israel have their source in klipa noga. The souls of Israel have their source in klipa noga, while the souls of the nation, the goyim, come from the three totally impure klipot. It is as if the Yehudi soul were surrounded by only one shell, while that of the goyim, the Gentile, of many. So much so that it is totally closed to all divine revelation. Now we understand that because the people from the nations are bound to their klipot. They are led by the klipot. They have no divine light which come to them. Yeah, they try to explain it with religion, whatever form it is. If it is Hinduism, Catholicism, Islam, and so on. But there is no light. There is no light because of this klipot. Remember, the one is with a klipa, one bark, the other one with three. Totally impure. Okay, they have no revelation. So we understand what Shaul means. We, Yehudi, have a klipa noga as our source. So our soul is naturally rooted in the divinity. You see, even if the light is dim because of the knowledge of good and evil, it is rooted in the divinity. Not so for the goyim, those from the nation. I explain. That is a text from Shaul in the book of Ephesians, chapter 2. But now, from now on, in Yeshua the Mashiach, you were, past sentence, once far away, have been brought closer by the blood of Mashiach, who is our peace. Shalom. He who of the two has made one, and who has overthrown the wall of separation. And for the wall of separation, we need to know that in the second temple, the Jews have built a small wall, about 80 centimeters high, with entrance for the Yehudim alone. And there was a shield there that whoever from the going trespass and go over is under the penalty of death. This is a wall of separation. Enmity, having suppressed by his flesh the Torah of the ordinance and in his decrees. So he doesn't suppress the Torah, he said the Torah of the ordinance in his decrees, in his Chukat, right? In order to create in himself with the two, one human, the Yehudim and the Goim, establishing Shalom, and to reconcile them both in one body with Elohim, through he came to proclaim peace to you who were far away, and peace to those who were near, the Yehudim. For through him we both have access to the Father in one spirit. So then you are no longer stranger or outsider, but you are fellow citizen of the Kedoshim, the saints, men of the house of Elohim. So, now it's very interesting, because Mashiach teaches in Matthew 5 that the Torah will never be abolished, and here Shaul would say the opposite. Of course not. We must understand according to the context and way of thinking of a rabbi. It is say, he has removed in his flesh the Torah of the ordinance in his decrease. Decrease. Chukat. As we have already said, Torah means teaching, instruction for use, and not Torah, not law. Rabbi says here that the Mashiach, by his death, suppressed the teaching of ordinance in his decrease. So that was being erased are the consequence of the decree that is in the Torah of Moshe, not the Torah itself. They are teaching that originate in some degrees, and it is this teaching that have been nailed to wood, because who I make the, in Hebrew, a decree is said chok, as has already been said. The red heifer, the subject of our parasha, is the decree, a chok, which purify all those who have been in contact with a dead person, the great of all impurity. Now, a goy as a rooted soul, as we have seen in the three totally impure clipos. So he is spiritually dead, not physically, spiritually. When you see people all around the world, they are spiritually dead, because they must be restored to Elohim. Not so a Jew. Even a Jew with secular is rooted in divinity. Is rooted in divinity by his nature. It is so. But not so the Goim, because the Goim have lost totally their identity and they are in the world. Okay? So now, what is the purpose of the red heifer? It's amazing, because in another place it is written that it's a paradox. It is a paradox because sprinkling of the ash of the red heifer purifies the unclean, but preparing and handling those same ashes made the person unclean. This means the opposite, that those who prepare become unclean, but those who will be sprinkled with the ashes of the red heifer become clean. All this is the shadows of the Mashiach. Mashiach has become unclean for us in order to make us clean. And this is what is for Judaism not comprehensible now. But for those who are in Mashiach, because of the revelation of Mashiach, we understand the mystery hidden in the red heifer. So this is very important. And when Mashiach comes back, then the red heifer will be finished. The decree, the hook will be abolished. Okay? The purpose of the red heifer, by her death, which took place outside Israel camp, she's able to break the three unclean clipots from the Goim, something for everyone, some quite impossible for all other sacrifice offered in the temple, and to purify the unpurifiable. We can say so. Now, the writer says, our masters teach us something fabulous. Why is Miriam's death section juxtaposed to the red cow? the red heifer. We have the death of Miriam and the red heifer. To tell you, just as a sacrifice brings atonement, so does the death of the righteous bring atonement. Talmud Moed Katan 28a. It's very interesting because we know that the tzaddik is Yeshua. You see here we have against the shadows of things. The sages understood that Miriam, in spite of her mistake, was a righteous person. And he say, you see, compare the atonement with the death of the righteous who bring atonement. No sacrifice offered to the temple was able to redeem voluntary sin and purify what cannot be, except the red heifer and the death of a just, the tzaddik. For a sacrifice offered to the temple could only redeem a fault whose consequences were in klipa noga. So klipa from the Jews, spiritual domain where good and evil mix. While the red cow, the red heifer, and the tzaddik can redeem by their death even the sins that have root in the three totally unclean klipot from the goyim. And therefore, Yehoshua, dying on wood, gathered in him the dimension of the tzaddik, the righteous by excellence, but also of the red heifer, because he no longer bore the yoke of sin. He was not under sin. Was offered outside the city on Golgotha, and he was flawless. He can thus break the force contained in the three totally impure klipot and free the souls of the goyim, which were captive there. And therefore the wall of separation abolished not the Torah and its mitzvot, but as he say, the decrease, the Chukat, and its ordinances that put a separation between the Yehudim of Klipa Noga and the Goyim of the three unclean Klipot. And when Yeshua return, he will also destroy Klipa Noga and will remain only the totally pure, holy domain. You see, that is the work of Mashiach. So when you read the decree, then you know that there is a mystery behind it, which is revealed through Yeshua HaMashiach. Right? This is very important. Now, we will go to the serpent. The serpent in the desert. Okay? I will read here again, because I think we should slowly but surely learn from our brethren from Yehuda, because there is many things we can learn instead to turn to fantasy and teaching from man who do not have any ideas about the Torah and how it works. So here we read the Midrash report about the snake. He had not been told to do it in bronze, but Moshe thought Elohim called him snake, Nachash. I will do it in bronze, Neroshet. You see, Nachash, Neroshet. The terms being similar. This is from Bereshit Rabbah 31. In Torah Yeshua, in the Torah of Yeshua, the Mashiach report to Nicodemon, not demon in Hebrew, that just as the serpent was raised in the desert, so will be the Ben Adam, the son of Adam, who died hanging from the stake, in Hebrew, Mashiach, also has the same numerical value of snake. When you take Mashiach, the word Mashiach in Hebrew, and the word for serpent, snake, Nachash, they have the same gematria, 358. This is when we make the connection. We see here the two opposites. Mashiach on the right, and Nachash on the left. The number, if you add the letter from Mashiach, you will have 358. You take Nachash, you calculate the letter according to the gematria, you will have 358. Both represent the opposite. The one is Mashiach, the Yetzer Tov, and Narash, the Yetzer Hara. These two come from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, which is in every of us. When we have removed the klipot of the three klipot of the Goyim, which were there before we came to Mashiach, remain the klipot Noga. So, which is bound to the knowledge of good and evil. This is a battle we have, and that we understand when Shaul tells us, walk in the Ruach, and you will not fulfill the desire of the flesh. The desire of the flesh is led by the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, while the spirit is led by the Yetzer Tov, which is Mashiach in us. So we have to understand this battle will go on until Mashiach comes back. So we will have to fight this battle every day. Every day we face the Yetzer Hara, and we have to subdue our Yetzer Hara to the Yetzer Tov in order to fulfill what Elohim has put in our life, and not to fall into the error of many blaming others, because others have nothing to do with our life. We have to understand that, and we need to be aware that the battle we have is our battle. It's not the battle from others. And when somebody comes to us and an assembly point to others, or a leader speak bad against others, this is only the work of the Yetzer Hara. There is no light inside. There is no love inside. Because love bears all. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is pure. So we have to understand that if we walk in the Yetzer Tov, we will love accept all. So we will bear that, we will understand. So please, excuse me, we have to be aware of that we need to take as example our Adon, our Master Yeshua, who never opened his mouth when he was attacked. And if you research a bit history, you will see that Yeshua was always attacked. Always. By religious leaders, by people who don't like his teaching, and so on and so on. He never replied. To rebuke somebody is not to reply. To rebuke somebody is when somebody is wrong, like Yeshua did with the Pharisees, he rebuked them. Not all Pharisees were wrong, but some of the Pharisees. He rebuked them. So we need to choose, but not to enter in vain battle, because we are all brethren. So we need to understand that every morning I have to make up my mind to decide to walk in the Ruach. Walk in the Ruach, what does it mean? It means to walk in the Torah of our Elohim, to walk in the Torah of Elohim, and to imitate our Master Yehoshua. So now I go back to the snake, because it's really interesting. You see, the Zohar tells us that when the Israelites saw the snake, Elohim was praying, because as long as the son see the stick with which the father struck, he is afraid. The same goes for the snake. He is afraid of it. And always in the same vein. When a man sees the suffering that reaches the Mashiach, King Yeshua, he must be afraid, knowing that this suffering come back to him if he does not make teshuvah. A large number of mitzvot cannot be explained locally. Besides, even those that can be understood have also been given to us for reasons unknown to our human reason, such as the red cow, the red heifer, the ban of mixing flax and wool, milk and meat, wearing tefillin, eating kosher, etc. And all these mitzvot are thus pointed out by the Satan and those who refuse the Torah of Moshe. Man will therefore have to strengthen himself in the study and fulfillment, knowing that nothing that the blessed be he asked for it is in vain, and that the real reason will be given to us in the coming era. But good news is that many of those decrees which we cannot understand are revealed in Yeshua. And we will learn that step by step as we go to the Torah and as we remove all this clipboard from our life, and that we also make the effort to balance our midots, this man character, the trait character we have everyone in his life. We have to balance them. This means always the balance of doing the right things in a right measure, not too much, not enough. We have to balance in everything, and that is a process of life. We need to learn it. Now, Yeshua said that as the serpent was lifted up by Moshe, so the son of Adam will be also lifted up on the stake. Now, this is very interesting, because how can Elohim take an animal that is unclean and tell Moshe, you will put it on a stake, and whoever will look on it will be healed from the deadly poison? That's the question, is very interesting. And Yeshua referred to the same ways. You see, like the serpent of Moshe was in a pole or a stake, so will be with the son of Adam. This is the same way. For the majority of people today, they cannot understand chok. They cannot understand how is it possible that because I look unto Yeshua and I will be saved. Remember that in Yohanan 3:16 we read that Elohim loved the world so much that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have eternal life. This is a chok unto the world, because the world, the people of the world who are entangled in the clipboard cannot understand, because it is an act of emunah, of trusting faith in the living Elohim, the creator of everything. So Moshe put this serpent, this nachash, this snake on a pole, and we see that some look into the nachash, were healed, and all they didn't, and they die. They die in the desert. It is the same today. Today, we have a upside down. This means spiritual for natural. If we don't look like the majority of people on the earth, who do not look into Yeshua, they don't die. But they are already dead. They are already dead in the clipboard, because they have not received the new life. The new life which is proclaimed to us by Shaul, who say if a man is in Mashiach, he is a new creature. He is a new creature. This is what we have to understand. The whole world is condemned because they don't look unto the solution given by Elohim. The solution is very simple. The solution is in Mashiach. And when he come back, everyone was put his emunah, his trusting faith in Yeshua, will be rewarded. And the world is condemned. Now, with the Yehudim, is the same. But don't forget, they are in the covenant. They have never left the covenant. They are in the covenant, and at this point, we need to be humble, because we were lost in this world. This is why Yeshua came. We were lost. We had no chance. We were enemy to Elohim, enemy. We were in the world without Elohim. Don't forget that. So this should give us a lot of humility before we speak against Yehuda, against our brethren from Judah, and some foolish things that they don't know. They know much more than we know. So we can learn from them. We have a different approach because we have been restored unto Elohim through Yeshua, not by our own works, not by our own goodness, but by His work, the work of Yeshua, who has made the work of the red heifer for us, who has changed our life. I want to look for another passage which is very interesting. Here in the Hebrew, the book of Hebrew, it is written, "For if the blood of goats and bulls and the ashes of the heifer sprinkling those who have been defiled," so that's what in the Torah at this time, "sanctified for the cleansing of the flesh, how much more with the blood of Mashiach, who through the eternal Spirit offer himself without blemish to Elohim, cleanse your conscience from dead works to serve the living Elohim." You see, that is the work of Mashiach for every one of us, the conscience. And this is very important to understand. It's not a question of religious behavior. It is a question of relationship with the living Elohim through Yeshua HaMashiach, not by our own works. So we need to understand that everything we read in the Torah will point out to Mashiach. And we see in the coming Parasha, Balak, and we see others that you can always see that it points to Yeshua. The work of Yeshua, the Torah is our tutor to bring us to Mashiach. You remember, it's not me who said that, it's Shaul who said that. Okay? So, I hope that we need to understand and to meditate on our life. We need to focus on our own life, not on the life of others. We can only become light if we remove all our garbage from our life. And the garbage is not the garment. The garment is easy to put a white shirt. It's easy. But to cleanse the mind, the thought, the heart, that is another way. We need to pray for that. We need patience and perseverance. And we need to be changed, transformed by the renewing of our mind. The renewing of our mind comes only through the Torah. So, brothers and sisters, I encourage you to look into the Torah as an instrument for ourselves, for every one of us. We all need the Torah to cleanse us and to make us acceptable unto Elohim through Yeshua Mashiach, who is our mediator, who is the one with the connection with Elohim, with the ladder to open the way for us to Elohim. So, I thank you for this time. Thank you for watching. May Yehovah Elohim bless you and keep you, and we see you for the next parasha. Shalom.